Hey, Nakamura, can we go thrift shopping?
What?
Yo, homie, how much for a stack of crystal?
5 big ones.
Yo, I got you. Oh, crap.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I think this is 6.
What a beautiful day to take a walk in the park.
What are you guys doing?
What does it look like we're doing?
We're doping.
Doping is bad for you.
What do you want from us? You want a piece of me? Leave my customer alone.
Yo, chill. I just want to understand why you're doping.
What is there to understand? We're not doping drugs, we're doping semiconductors.
So, what is a semiconductor? A semiconductor is any element that has an electrical conductivity that's better than an insulator, but worse than a conductor. So now that we know what a semiconductor is, we're going to get a little bit complicated. Normally, a semiconductor cannot conduct electricity efficiently. But if we intentionally add impurities, we can make its chemical properties greatly increase the conductivity so much that it can even match that of a conductor's. So if we just have a silicon crystal by itself, it would be neutral and would not conduct any electricity. However, if we add impurities like arsenic or boron to the crystal, its conductivity would increase. Adding impurities to a semiconductor is a process known as doping. But how does doping a semiconductor make it conduct electricity more? When you are doping a semiconductor, you can make two different kinds of doped semiconductors. These are the N-type, or the negative type, and the P-type, or the positive type. The structure of an N-type semiconductor is very interesting. To simplify our explanations, we will assume silicon as the semiconductor we are using. Normally, a silicon crystal is made up of silicon atoms that each have 4 valence electrons that covalently bond with other silicon atoms to form the crystal. But when we add atoms with more than 4 valence electrons to the silicon crystal, like arsenic or phosphorus, this creates an abundance of electrons in the crystal, increasing the average number of electrons per atom. On the other hand, when we add atoms with less than 4 valence electrons to the silicon crystal, like boron or gallium, holes are made within the silicon crystal. What this means is that within the silicon crystal, spaces are created that lack electrons. These spaces act like positive charges, attracting electrons from the rest of the silicon crystal. An intrinsic semiconductor is one in its pure form. However, when doped, the semiconductor becomes extrinsic. Extrinsic, or doped semiconductors are used in many electrical devices like diodes, transistors, microprocessor chips, and basically everything that's computerized. In fact, the term Silicon Valley comes from the fact that almost all semiconductors use silicon. The interesting thing happens when we jam a P-type material right next to an N-type material. The extra holes will diffuse like a gas from a gas leak from the neutral P-type material to the neutral N-type material. Similarly, the extra electrons will diffuse from the neutral N-type material into the neutral P-type material. While the combination of the two materials is still collectively neutral, the balance of the charges has been messed up, so now that the P-type material is negative and the N-type material is positive. The charge imbalance creates a dipole that slowly starts to slow down diffusion. Now, imagine we hook up a battery so that the negative end of the battery is connected to the N-type material, and the positive end is connected to the P-type material. Remember, the P-type material has extra electrons, and electrons from the N-type material have stopped moving into the P-type material because of this. New electrons from the battery's negative end are present in the N-type material. Those electrons have a slightly uphill battle to go from the N-type material to the P-type material because of the charge. because of the charge imbalance between the N and P-type materials. If they have enough energy, exactly 0.7 volts, then they'll start flowing. Otherwise, no current will flow. This is called forward bias. But what if we hook up the battery the other way around? The negative electrons connect the negative... If we hook up the battery the other way, the negative electrode connected to the P-type material and the positive electrode connected to the N-type material, then it is called reverse bias. The electrons from the battery will have no reason to enter the P-type material because all of the electrons are already there, so current will never flow this way. Diodes allow for electricity to flow in one direction only and blocks the flow in the opposite direction. They may be regarded as one-way valves that are used in various circuits, usually as a form of protection. There are different types of diodes, but their basic functions are all the same.
We're doping semiconductors.
I don't believe you. What are your names? I'm gonna call the police.
The name's Bond. Covalent bond.